I'm Linda, Kevin's oldest sister, speaking on behalf of the family. We gather today to remember Kevin Lee Wulff, the younger son, the little brother, the big brother, the farmer, the neighbor, and most importantly, the Christian, whose faith never wavered even in the face of debilitating illness, chronic pain, and personal tragedy, who loved God and who, like Jesus, loved the poorest of the poor. The richness of Kevin's life has been so apparent over these last few weeks, as many reached out to offer their help in any way possible, and those too far away to lend hands-on support kept him in their prayers. Even though Kevin wouldn't like being eulogized, having inherited his father's deep sense of humility, we are also gathered today to honor Kevin's memory and celebrate his journey on this earth. Even at birth, Kevin's road was a bit rocky, having been born during a time when the rest of the family had the measles, and that was a serious thing back then. His entire first year was a struggle with repeated visits to the doctor's office. But maybe that's how he developed a tenacity that would serve him well later in life. Mom knew Kevin was destined to follow in his father's footsteps when this toddler came to her with dirty hands, proudly announcing, "Just like Daddy." Soon his love of animals became apparent, asking his older sister how to embroider a deer and carrying around a tiny kitten in his pocket while he looked for a home for it. Even as a little boy, Kevin's faith was already evident. He was sad when he learned that it was his parents that played Santa Claus, not because of the loss of some great fantasy, but because he thought that somehow those gifts from Santa were actually gifts from God. And really, wasn't he right all along? As a teenager, Kevin was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, an incurable chronic disease in which the body's immune system attacks its own tissue. This was long before current treatments became available. The disease affected joint linings, causing painful swelling. Even the weight of a bed sheet on Kevin's feet would cause him pain. His quality of life improved when infusion therapy became available, but it came with side effects too: nausea, weakness, and reduced immunity. Flare-ups still occurred, and when one part of his body was beginning to feel better, it was a sign that the disease was preparing to attack another part, and it would attack anywhere, including eyes, throat, and internal organs. But Kevin never let the disease stop him, nor did he let it weaken his faith. In high school, Kevin mastered woodworking. The cabinet he built still stands in Mom's kitchen. He helped his older sister with a major remodeling project and the construction of a 2-story deck the summer before he graduated from high school. He ushered at St. Lucas in Kewaskum and served as a volunteer firefighter and first responder in the Colesville area. Yet farming remained his passion, and he bought his first farm in Ripon and shortly thereafter his farm on AY. He raised beef cattle that earned top prices because, as a lifelong friend who would know said, he was that good at what he did. His corn crops were the envy of his neighbors. Walking around his property, you could see the barns, grain beds, and workshop that he built, and you would know if you knew the backstory, you would marvel at the creative engineering he used to accomplish things by himself that most would not even tackle. But always, There were friends, neighbors, relatives offering assistance, even though he was unlikely to accept it if he could manage himself. As busy and hardworking as Kevin was, his little sister remembers how he always made time for her, always seemed happy to have her tag along, and most importantly, he was her best friend. Kevin's cousins remember him as always game for good, clean fun. Kevin would hope that the young fellows who worked with him will remember him for being more of a mentor than an employer, and that they know how he truly appreciated their help and enjoyed their companionship. And even as Kevin's farming friends and neighbors remember him as someone who was sharp as a whip and who would be there to help no matter what was asked, Kevin would hope these friends and neighbors will remember how much he appreciated their help and support, especially in times of poor health. We will all remember him for his bright, wide smile and easy laughter, and April especially remembers him for greeting her every day with a "Good morning, sunshine," even when she wasn't feeling particularly sunny. During his 3 long weeks at Fredert, moving back and forth from the ICU to the hospital room, back to the ICU again, and still experiencing unrelenting pain, Kevin was kind to and grateful for the teams of nurses and doctors. When they came in to get yet another blood test, he would tell them with a grin, "You don't have to ask, just poke me," or "Pick whichever finger you want." But most of all, we hope you remember him for something you may not even be aware of. You see, Kevin always wanted to take care of the poorest of the poor. And even among them, he made sure the littlest child got a spot in line, just as Jesus would. How did he do that? Kevin provided the inspiration and the funds for a small group of like-minded Filipinos to bring the gospel and a hot meal to over 500 children who live in a state of poverty that we here can hardly imagine. Many of these children live near to or even at dump sites and scavenge those dumps for their living. Through his ongoing support in the hard work of a small group of dedicated Filipino people, now known as Christians Who Care, these children are fed both physically and spiritually. Similarly, Kevin's support allowed many to receive medical treatment that otherwise would not have been available to them. And there are scholars, kids who were able to get an education because of his support. As one of these scholars put it, he brought them hope and joy. All of these children accept him as part of their family because he made them feel special. And in spite of what status in life they have, still there was a person to lift them up and bring a smile on their faces. These children call him Uncle Kevin. Uncle Kevin was watching over his kids and many others when Typhoon Haiyan hit the Philippines. He recognized that the humanitarian aid's efforts were bottlenecked in the more populated areas along the shoreline and were not likely to reach the mountain communities. Kevin could not stand by without helping, so he galvanized an effort by the local community to purchase rice, sardines, and water, repackage them in sacks, and with the assistance of a military truck and a driver from the local army base, he got those relief supplies to those who would never have been reached by other aid efforts. Upon hearing of Kevin's death, Mary Anita, who is a member of Kevin's Filipino family, wrote, "Somehow I think Kevin can rest now. He has been working too hard for us all. I am very, very grateful and thankful to God for giving us an angel." Kevin's Filipino family remembers him as an angel. Kevin's family here hopes to not only remember Kevin himself, but also to remember Kevin's call to serve these children. The family invites you to honor him by continuing to support Christians who care in his memory, so that these children can still be served. To that end, we are establishing a memorial fund, Feeding Kevin's Kids. We invite you to become part of a host of angels who contribute to this fund and sustain the good work that Kevin has begun. And if you haven't already received one, there are brochures back there that tell you how you can do that. It would be easy to focus on the struggles at the end of his life, but Kevin led a life rich in experiences and relationships and faith. He loved farming, both its challenges and its rewards. He knew love, and even at the end, he still had a dream. Mark 9, verse 36-37. He took a little child whom he placed among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me." The video tribute you are about to see was created by Kevin's family and friends in the Philippines and sent to the family and friends here to share their memories of and love for Kevin.
I am Maripris A. Fernandez. I am a college student and Uncle Kevin was there to support me in my education. from ever since first year college up until now. And I did my very best in school because I know that the money he sent for my tuition is from his hard work. And I really did my best and send him my grades, tell him how was my studies. And also I also sang his favorite songs, like Christian songs, along with the guitar that he gave to us, and he was very, very happy. And I was very thankful of his generosity because he was there to help us. He was there to help us in times we're in difficult situation. And at some point that he was there in times we're in difficult situation, especially during pandemic. He always makes sure that we are safe, and so do we, because he is all alone in there. He used to send videos to us on how he was doing in his farm, how his farm looked like, everything. And all I want to say to him is, may you have rest in peace in heaven, Uncle Kevin. Thank you, Uncle Kevin, for everything that you have done for us. It is very kind of you, and we will never forget you, because being generous of you and kind inspires us to help other people, especially children. Thank you very much, and I love you.
I am Joseph A. Fernandez. Thank you, Uncle Kevin, for all you've done to us, especially in my education. You're always in my back. Thank you for everything, your kindness and being generous, and also you are the best uncle I ever had. And I will never forget you, Uncle Kevin. You may rest in peace, and we will love you so much. You always in my heart. Farewell, Uncle Kevin, and we love you.
Condolence to the family of Kevin Wulff. I'm Maribek Nolia, sister-in-law of Mary Ann Nolia. Rest and peace, Kevin. Thank you for your kindness to helping our family and us, and most especially, you're always supporting the feeding program. We never forget you. We love you and we miss you, Kevin.
Condolence to the family of our boss, a friend, Kevin. You're a part of our family. It's so great and lucky, and very thankful that we have a friend like here. I'm the cousin of Marilo who passed away. Yesterday, it's sad to hear to my sister Mary Ann that Kevin is passed away. It's so hard to hear or accept that the person who tired to help, who never tired to help us, especially our family, because he know my parents and my sister that there is no job. Kevin is like a person, it's like a good Samaritan, a helpful person. He's a good person and kind and a generous. He never tried to help other people, most especially to the children, and most especially our family. He never doubt to help and never wait for compensation. Even he is tired, Kevin always think of us and about the feeding program. Kevin, I know, did you hear this message? Even you're not here. We're very thankful that we have a friend like you. For our bonding with my family, and I always say with you this, that you're part of our family. You're not just a friend, but we treat you as our family. Even the last breath of your life, you still remember us. You are a good person. Good luck to your next journey. We never forget you and never be fade. We love you and we miss you.
Daghan kayong salamat sa tabang sa akong pamilya na kailata tungod sa akong igagaw na si Marilo. Maayo kay kang tao, andam kang mutabang sa nakainahanglan ug sa feeding program sa mga bata. Dili ka na mo makalimtan ko sa imong kaayo sa tanan-tanan.
A blessed day to all the relatives, friends, and families of Kevin Wulff. I am Aguilito Fernandez, one of best friend of Kevin here in the Philippines. I would like to share some testimony about how he is when he was here in the Philippines, when we were together. I want to share with you that before, Kevin and my sister have a relationship. They started making a feeding program together with my sister. When my sister died, I thought that would be the end of their feeding program. I thought that it's because of Marilo, that's why Kevin also supported Marilo's feeding program. But I was wrong. Kevin is continuing the feeding program even though my sister was gone. And now I realize that he's not only supporting my sister's feeding program, but the feeding program became his passion. His heart are very big to help the children, and he's being generous in giving. Despite of the distance between his place and ours, the distance is not a hindrance for him to do feeding here in the Philippines. Our last conversation in Messenger, I was a little bit surprised because most of the time when we have a conversation, before we end up our conversation, he always asks me if there's any problem. I want just to tell him if there's any problem. Our last conversation was I was a bit surprised because he sent me money, not asking if I need one. When he sent that money, I told him, this money is for what? Is this for Mary Pierce's tuition fee? And he replied me that, no, rather than that, you use it whatever you're needed. Only now that I realized that at that time his illness become more grave than I thought. Now I realize that he, even though in his last days of his life, he gave all he can to help me. I never see a man such a big heart in helping. Even though he have only a little bit of himself, his mind and heart are always in helping. Sir Kevin, sir, wherever you are right now, I know God has given you a place where you can be happy, you can rest. Thank you for all the goodness that you've done here in the Philippines, particularly with our families. We will never forget you. Your works here will speak even though you are gone. Thank you for being a friend, for being more like my brother than my other siblings. Thank you for your goodness, your bold heart of giving, and thank you for your open arms whenever I ask something for you. Saying no is not on your vocabulary in refusing some offer of help to others. Again, thank you, and may you rest in peace. We love you, and we will never forget you.